Welcome, Wanderer. Season 11 is going bonkers. Some characters are absolutely breaking the game, while others are not even able to exist in Torment 4. Why is this happening, and what caused the loss in player power? This is Mr. Rob with his Barbarian on trillions of damage in Pit Tier 106. In the tower right now, but Pit Tier is equivalent difficult. And yes, these are actually real trillion of damage. But it's only working because of one single thing that will most likely never see the live server. And that one thing is also the only thing that gives Barbarian power right now. And that would be the new Melted Heart of Selig. It says each point of your primary stat increases your primary resource by plus 3%. Now you get Ramaladin's Magnum Opus, which gives you 0.5% more damage per point of fury you have. You're now sitting at 1,000 to 3,000 fury. That would be instantly a damage boost by 1,500%, just like that. But wait, there's more, because Hammer of Ancients says, Hammer of Ancients gains 5% critical strike damage and chance for every 10 fury you had when cast. So I get 3,000 fury divided by 10, that is 300 times the 5% bonus, giving us another 1,500% bonus damage. In this Barbarian graphic, you can see how much other stuff scaled Hammer of the Ancients damage, and how much the Melted Heart of Selig plus Ramaladin's Magnum Opus and the Hammer of Ancients itself scales the damage. We will probably see the Magnum Opus only giving damage up to a certain percentage, capped as everything else is, and the same goes for Hammer of Ancients. And then suddenly those trillions of damage making the bar very juicy right now are gone, and well, if you don't have the Melted Heart of Selig with 4 greater affix, 20 times Masterworked and Sanctified, it's anyways not going to look like that. Let's swap over to something more normal that seems realistic. This is Mr. Makuna, the Sorcerer God, and he built a Crackling Energy Lightning Sorceress. Problem right now is that you have to play the Teleport as an actual skill, so you can't remove this from your skill bar anymore, because the Teleport enchantment is limited to 5 seconds. As you can see, he can actually teleport around quite sufficiently. However, this is a Pit 80, and it's a fully pinnacled out character. With like a triple greater affix as the Doors Overflowing cameo, the Ring of Starless Skies, we got Air of Perdition, all the amazing things going together to give the damage. And your glyphs being level 100 as well, which you would obviously not have when you're at Pit 80. So that Pit 80 in 2 minutes is possible, but not early into the game. First, you have a very grueling grind ahead of you before you get anywhere close to this. However, it's good to see that Sorc, at least if you have the gear, if you went all this way, can shine. Not as much as, well, prior seasons, but it can still shine. For Rogue, it's pretty hard to say how much damage they actually deal, because Dens of Knives is, doing negative Integra damage. There is some double dipping happening, and a lot of the damage deal twice just keeps doing damage deal twice and never stops doing damage deal twice, and then infinitely stacks up, leading to negative Integra damage. Yeah. So Rogue technically good, but we can't say how good it will still be after the bug gets fixed. And right now it can do Pit 150, but who couldn't if he was bugged like that? Then we got the good old Necromancer with 3 golems, no mythic gear, currently sitting at Pit 75 and feeling very comfortable. It's a cool and fun build because you can finally just spam away your golems, like I'm pretty much holding down that button, and they amount up to billions of damage. And if you actually would add some of the mythics to it, we could get even more damage out. My favorite part is that you actually have the low cooldown to finally spam them away and be able to do set content. And I have seen already a golem version with mythics, every item triple greater affix, quad greater affix, sanctified, double aspects, and so on, doing Pit 100. So it is certainly possible to go all the way. However, only under the perfect circumstances where you then have the 300%, 60%, fully rolled items with maximum attack speed, critical strike, damage scalers, all that kind of stuff, right? And preferable sanctified for double aspect that you can then get to that 100, which is crazy because I'm doing a 75, but I have, again, like, right, my glyphs are 100 already out. That player power is missing, and I can already explain on the golem where the player power went. Right now, my golems are sitting at 11 ranks, and each rank gives me 25% bonus damage. That's quite a lot. And 11 ranks sounds like a lot, but it's not. My Graveplume, for example, has only one Golem Mastery rank. Now, I could get this at a greater affix, but even if I get this as a greater affix, without the old Masterworking system, I'm going to miss 3 ranks to Golems. The same goes for my Ring of Mendeln. It has 2 ranks to Golem, but if I would Masterwork this up, there's another 2 ranks missing, so 5 ranks in total already. And my chess piece could get Golem Mastery, and then Masterworked, with another 3 to 4 ranks missing. So let's say I'm missing 10 ranks to Golem right now. And that's actually, in this case, 250% bonus damage. And not only are we missing all those ranks to Golem, I currently have to temper the Golem active cooldown reduction on both items. And what I cannot temper instead, or on top, is the Golem damage, which will get multiplied up by my Golem multiplier. So my Golem multiplier could be at 400%, and my Golem damage that I could be having on all these items is missing on the tippity top with that, which would then multiply up crazy and give us the hundreds, 200s, maybe even trillions of damage. So that second temper is missing. We might actually have more critical strike damage because of 4 affixes on the ring. But that more critical strike damage is useless for me. Even the attack speed is useless for me compared to what the temper of more Golem damage would do. However, cooldown reduction is so low nowadays because we can't masterwork it up triple times anymore, that I am barely happy to get my cooldown low enough with the aspect of the Fell Gluttony and these tempers here. I can't even think about dropping one of the tempers or I would be completely screwed. And that's a problem that's happening to every single class and also almost to every single build. The very big difference will be working with builds that rely wholly on maximum aspects, or on builds that actually need something like core skill ranks that you could then get from an Heir of Perdition, and you get to get as many core skill ranks as possible. For example, we get the Shadow Blight Necromancer here, and my damage is wholesale coming from the Shadow Blight key passive. No core skill ranks more, no ranks to mastery skills or whatever does influence this. The only thing that influences this is shadow damage bonus, so I get the multiplier up high as possible, 450%. And then my aspects here are giving me a 70% stacking one, so more attack speed, plus another 325% stacking one with 50%, 55, right? That's all my damage. My gear itself is providing me the critical strike chance to make this work, and the attack speed so I can throw the attacks out further. But I don't have to really masterwork a piece multiple times to get something working in my favor. I don't have to reduce a cooldown to spam an attack. No, I can just spam away my blight and feel good about it, and then have my Paragon nodes, where a lot of my damage is coming from, just stacked together up with the other stuff. Whereas my Pulverized Druid or my Boulder Druid, for example, they want core skill ranks like crazy, or Boulder ranks like crazy, right? And if you're not getting those Pulverized ranks or core skill ranks, you will do less damage, but you can't actually masterwork them up further anymore, right? So you can get like the 4 core skill ranks, and that's it. Not more is coming. You're going to be missing out massive multipliers. And Druid in general is looking okay, but not too hot. The problem with Druid right now is that we have Grizzly Rage. Grizzly Rage is, in the current stage, an 84% damage multiplier. However, it's only 10 seconds long, and after those 10 seconds, you have a 32-second cooldown. The cooldown does only start as soon as Grizzly Rage is over. Together then with the aspect of the Rampaging Werebeast, you get 200% damage bonus as long as Grizzly Rage is up. And then you would kind of sit 30 seconds there without Grizzly Rage. Even if you get the cooldown down to 20 seconds, that's still, again, 20 seconds without Grizzly Rage. You're just going to be sitting there and waiting for it to come back up. That feels extremely bad for Druid. Pulverize should still be strong, but if the Grizzly Rage ain't getting reworked, it's just kinda damn awkward. And you might actually feel like playing Cataclysm, but that feels bad because Grizzly Rage makes you unstoppable and gives you more armor and keeps you in bear form for the Yurzin strength, and it's like actually really, really effing nice. However, if you only have it on and off and on and off and on and off, that's damage on Tuesdays once again. Then I saw Mr. Immortalized trying around with a Rake Spiritborn, going through things, and if we consider Rake Spiritborn being currently the Pit 142 top finisher, and now scrambling around to do Pit 65, probably also with this 100 glyphs, yeah, maybe you're doomed and you actually have to play Evade Spiritborn all the way, who knows? Don't get me wrong, it's cool that the game is somewhat more challenging. But if I need level 100 glyphs to pretty much enjoy Torment 4, how does that even remotely make sense? There will be builds that definitely do pit 100 if you then have everything perfectly going on, and preferable sanctified and whatsoever. Plus, you kind of figured out how toughness works because sometimes I have 2 million toughness. Meanwhile, there are tons of builds which are barely functional. My Bloodwave I can get to work, but only if I have the greater affix to Bloodwave cooldown reduction, and I got cooldown reduction, greater affix here, and preferable cooldown reduction on the amulet, plus the perfect rolled fast blood aspect. If any of these pieces is lower, I can forget this build. Hell, I even had to put on Rakaneth Awake with cooldown reduction just to get this low enough. It's kind of fun to figure out this puzzle, but on the other hand, like, yeah, I tried to do a Bone Spirit build and I was almost not able to get this done, even with everything I threw at it. And after I threw everything at it, it wasn't actually strong enough. So yeah, what did I even try? The new Masterworking system is fun because it's easy and simple. However, it is lacking a meaningful power gain. This weapon here, for example, Bonebreaker, gives us max life damage and overpower damage. If I now Masterwork it up 20 times as I have, the damage, the maximum life, and the intelligence are pretty much staying the same. The only thing that gets increased was here the maximum life as a greater affix. Meanwhile, though, your actual greater affix of the 195% overpower damage in the old system would go up to what, 300 damage, 340 damage, a lot of additive damage bonus. And that's missing on every single piece, right? I Masterworked the Rakaneth Wake up, I got the movement speed and the non-physical damage. The cooldown reduction has stayed same, and it's the same at 8.1%. I kind of feel like in order to make up for the missing Masterwork boosting the base stats of items apart from greater affixes, either affixes need to be higher, base, everything needs to have like 2, 3, 4% more, and or the tempers need to be higher, right? The ultimate cooldown reduction being at 9.8%, maybe that's too low. Sure, I can get a greater affix on this, but that's not enough. So maybe instead of being 10% base, it should be 15% base, or 12.5, or 30, something, right? We need to move further forward. I'm not sure what to do about the core skill ranks, though, because every core skill build that relies on your core skill to have as many ranks as possible, or a basic skill build that needs as many basic skill ranks as possible, is not able to scale the damage meaningful anymore, and you get left behind. Because you just missed the opportunity to take something like the Pain Gorgeous Gauntlets and get it all the way up to 10, 12 ranks of basic skills, which then would give us tons of Bone Splinter damage and has everything go crazy. It's undeniable to me that we either need to boost things and or make Torment 4 or general monster life a bit lower. Because right now, you can exist there, but it stopped being fun. Now, I know people are going to say, but Pony, the game should be challenging and it should be more challenging. Yes, but a reasonable challenge. Because again, if I'm in Torment 4 right now, and I have a very good build, and my build has 12 times Masterwork everything, 20 times, sorry, greater affix, double, triple, I need to use mythics to feel good. And I got 200 plus Paragon points, and still my toughness is sometimes not enough. It doesn't feel good challenging, it just feels like, what am I supposed to do challenging? And that's not good kinds of challenging. So either we boost things up and get some more player power, or we drop the enemies a bit lower so that our player power is enough. What do you think? Tell me in the comments and also watch this video. I'll hunt you down.